The Montagues and the Capulets have been in a violent feud for many years. As the play opens, even their servants fight in the street, and the fight grows and grows until people of every status, young and old, are all in the street fighting. The Prince of Verona comes and tells them all that the feud must end, that he will not tolerate violence in his city. Romeo, the Montague's teenage son, misses the fighting because he is too busy being sad about Rosalind not loving him. His friend Benvolio convinces him to go to a dance at the Capulets' house, promising to show other women for Romeo to love. Paris, a young nobleman, is eager to marry Juliet, but Lord Capulet urges patience, as Juliet is not yet 14. Lady Capulet and the nurse tell Juliet to be sure to pay attention to Paris at the dance. At the Capulet dance, Romeo, Benvolio, and Mercutio sneak in wearing masks. Tybalt says he'll kill Romeo for coming, and Capulet yells that there will be no bloodshed at his party, when suddenly Romeo and Juliet meet. As they speak, their lines form a perfect sonnet, witty, rhyming, beautiful, and before the poem is finished, they've moved from talking to kissing. Only after this exchange do they learn each other's names and find they have each fallen in love with the one person they should hate. After the party, Romeo's friends cannot find him because he's climbed the garden walls and is waiting to see if he can catch a glimpse of Juliet. She comes to her balcony, pours out her heart, with Romeo below, eating up every word. They both vow their loves and promise to marry. Friar Lawrence agrees to marry them in secret, hoping that young love can break the hatred in the two families. Romeo brings the message to the nurse, who brings the message to Juliet, and the two are married the very next day. Tybalt still wants to fight with Romeo, but finds only Benvolio and Mercutio. Just as things are getting heated, Romeo comes in, happy from his secret wedding, and says he now loves Tybalt as if they were family. This surprises, confuses, and angers everyone, and Mercutio and Tybalt start fighting. Romeo gets between to try and stop them, but Tybalt kills Mercutio, and Romeo, enraged by the death of his friend, kills Tybalt. The prince banishes Romeo from Verona. Juliet is in her bedroom waiting for her wedding night with Romeo when the nurse brings her the news. Juliet is angry, and finally so grief-struck she says losing Romeo, even only by banishment, is worse than the death of everyone else she loves. Romeo is hiding at Friar Lawrence's cell. The friar and the nurse encourage him to spend the night with Juliet, and then he can go hide out in Mantua until things are sorted in Verona. But things are not sorted in Verona. Juliet is so upset that her parents betroth her to Paris to make things happier. This makes Juliet even more upset, and she and her father have a huge fight. She goes to Friar Lawrence and says she would rather die than marry Paris. Friar Lawrence gives her a special potion that will stop her pulse and make her seem dead, so instead of marrying her, they'll bury her. And when she wakes up in the crypt, he'll be there to help her escape to Romeo. But everything goes wrong. A messenger sent to tell Romeo the plan never arrives, but Romeo does hear that Juliet is dead. He buys poison and kills Paris on his way to the crypt. He gets to Juliet's seemingly lifeless form and takes the poison. Juliet wakes up, finds Romeo dead, and stabs herself. When the families find their children dead in each other's arms, Friar Lawrence explains everything, and the Montagues and the Capulets make their peace with each other at last. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.